You sat down. Nothing was wrong. And the first thing your body said was, "Get up." That voice is not ambition. It is a scar. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that only productive people understand. And the more disciplined you are, the harder it is to see. January 2026. Ryan Serhant, real estate mogul, Netflix star, best-selling author, goes on the Pivot podcast and says something that most interviewers let slide. "I definitely have a problem. I definitely live to work." He wakes at 4:30 in the morning, answers emails for an hour, works out for 90 minutes, then runs meetings and client calls until 11 at night. Then he says the other part, the part that made the internet split. Most people don't achieve their dreams because what they really want is just to be lazy. Half the comments admired it. Half recognized something else, not ambition, something older. The voice of a person who cannot stop and has built an entire philosophy around why stopping is wrong. You felt a smaller version, not at his scale, but the same machinery. The Sunday afternoon where nothing needed doing, and you reorganized a closet anyway. The vacation where you checked your email on day 2, not because anything was urgent, because sitting still felt like falling behind. This is not a video about hustle culture. This is a video about why your nervous system treats rest like a threat. We are going to look at the childhood equation that taught you stillness equals danger. We will name the psychologist who explained it most clearly. We will find the 3 alarms your body uses to pull you out of rest, and we will land on one practice, 2 minutes long, that begins to rewrite the program. By the end, you will know why guilt is the first thing you feel when you sit down, and you will know what to do instead of obeying it. Most people think rest guilt is a discipline problem. It is not. It is a loyalty problem. Your body is still loyal to a house you no longer live in. To see what that means, we have to go back to the room where you first learned that sitting still was dangerous. The alarm that fires when you stop. You know the feeling. You finish the last thing on the list. The day is done. And instead of relief, something tightens. A low hum in the chest, a restlessness in the hands. The thought arrives before you can name it. I should be doing something. It is not a thought. It is an alarm. Your nervous system is firing a signal that it learned decades ago, and the signal says the same thing every time. Stillness is not safe. Move, produce, earn your place. You don't hear it as an alarm. You hear it as motivation, as drive, as the thing that makes you reliable, the thing your boss praises, your partner relies on, your friends admire. You've built your identity around never stopping, and the identity feels good until the alarm won't turn off. Serhant called it a problem. Then, in the same sentence, he defended it. That is the tell. When someone names the wound and then immediately explains why the wound is actually a strength, you are watching the alarm do its work in real time. The philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote something 300 years ago that still lands. All of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He was not talking about laziness. He was talking about what comes up when the noise stops. The guilt, the emptiness, the terrifying question underneath all the productivity. If I stop, who am I? That question is the one you've been outrunning. Every email answered at midnight, every Sunday spent organizing what didn't need organizing, every vacation cut short. You were not being productive. You were staying ahead of the question. And the question has a history. It started in a specific room with specific people before you had a word for any of it. The equation you learned before you had words. This is where Gabor Mate becomes essential. Mate is a physician and trauma researcher who spent decades studying compulsive behavior, not in addicts, in high performers, in the people everyone admires. His conclusion was uncomfortable and simple. Compulsive doing, he argued, is not a character trait. It is a survival adaptation. It was brilliant once. It kept you safe in a specific environment. And then the environment changed, but the adaptation did not. Here is how it works. A child is born into a home where love is conditional, not violent, not neglectful in the obvious way, just conditional. The parent is warm when the child is useful, quiet, achieving, or easy. The parent withdraws subtly when the child is messy, loud, needy, or still. The child does not think about this. The child cannot think about this. The child simply learns the equation. Useful equals loved, still equals invisible. The equation is not a decision, it is a reflex, and it installs itself so deep that by adulthood, it feels like personality. You call it your work ethic, your discipline, your standards. Mate would call it your earliest loyalty. The loyalty to a version of love that said, you are welcome here when you are performing. You are a stranger here when you stop. Now watch Sirhan through this lens. 4:30 in the morning. Every morning. Not because the deals require it, because the stillness before the alarm clock is the most dangerous part of the day. That is where the question lives. If I stop, do I still matter? And the answer he learned as a child, the answer most high performers learned, is no. So he does not stop. And he tells the world that stopping is laziness. Because the alternative is admitting that stopping is laziness. Because the alternative is admitting that stopping. Mate wrote one of the most important lines in modern psychology. The attempt to escape from pain is what creates more pain. The pain here is the guilt, and the escape is the productivity. Every task you complete to silence the guilt teaches the alarm that it was right to fire. The cycle tightens, the guilt gets louder, the rest gets shorter, until rest is not even a concept anymore. It is just the space between tasks where the alarm screams. But if this is universal, if every child learns some version of this equation, why does it hit you this hard? Because not everyone carries the same version. Yours has a specific feature that makes it almost impossible to detect. Why it feels like your best quality. Because the alarm does not feel like a wound, it feels like a virtue. That is the cruelest part of his pattern. It disguises itself as the thing you are most proud of. You are the person who shows up early, the person who never drops the ball, the person who answers the text at midnight, finishes the project a day ahead, volunteers for the extra shift. People rely on you, and that reliance feels like proof that the equation works. Useful equals valuable, still equals forgotten. But here is what nobody tells the person who never stops. The admiration is real, and the wound underneath it is also real. Both things exist at the same time. Your discipline is genuine, and it is also the shape your survival took when you were too small to choose a different shape. You did not choose to be this way. You adapted brilliantly, completely, and the adaptation worked so well that you forgot it was an adaptation. You started calling it who you are. When someone says, just relax, or you deserve a break, you hear the words. You might even agree with them, but your body does not agree. Your body hears rest and translates it into a different sentence entirely. You are about to become invisible. That translation is not rational. It is not something you can argue away. It lives below language, in the nervous system, in the place where the earliest version of you learned what love costs. And until you can see the translation happening, you will keep obeying it. Not because you want to, because it is faster than you are. The 3 alarms. There are 3 alarms your nervous system uses to pull you out of rest. 3 specific patterns. Once you know them, you will catch them within the next 24 hours. Alarm 1. Phantom urgency. You sit down, within minutes a task appears in your mind. Not a real task, a manufactured one. The drawer that needs reorganizing. The email that could be written now instead of tomorrow. The errand that is not urgent but suddenly feels essential. Your mind is generating work to fill the stillness because the stillness is where the alarm lives. Alarm 2. The scroll reflex. You try to rest. You sit on the couch, and within seconds your hand reaches for your phone, not to check anything specific, to fill the gap. Scrolling is not rest, it is the alarm's compromise. It lets your body stop while keeping your mind running. It is the minimum viable productivity your nervous system will accept. Alarm 3. Productive rest. This is the most sophisticated disguise. You tell yourself you are resting, but you fill the rest with improvement. You meditate but track your streak. You exercise but optimize your splits. You take a bath but listen to a podcast about leadership. Every rest activity gets colonized by the same equation. If I am not improving, I am wasting time. All three alarms serve the same function. They prevent you from encountering the silence, because in the silence, the question waits. And the question has not changed since you were small. Am I a nut when I am not producing anything? The alarms are not your enemy. They were your protectors once. In a home where stillness meant trouble, they kept you moving, kept you useful, kept you safe. The problem is they never received the message that the danger passed. They are still guarding a door that no one is behind anymore. The 2-minute practice. Here is the practice. It is 2 minutes long. It will feel like 20. That is how you know it is working. The next time you sit down and the guilt arrives, do not fight it. Do not argue with it. Do not tell yourself you deserve rest. That argument has never worked because the alarm does not speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of survival. Instead, name it. Say to yourself, that is the old program, not the present moment. That single sentence does something the alarm cannot handle. It separates you from the reflex. It creates a gap between the signal and the response. And in that gap, you have a choice for the first time. Then stay seated for 2 more minutes. Not 10, not an hour, 2 minutes. The alarm will scream. Your hands will want to reach for your phone. A phantom task will appear. Let it. Watch it arrive. Watch it insist, and do not move. The 2 minutes will teach your nervous system something it has never learned. That stillness is survivable. That is the entire first practice. Name the program, stay for 2 minutes. Do it once today, once tomorrow. The nervous system does not update through insight. It updates through experience. You have to show it repeatedly that the danger it remembers is no longer here. Here is a second practice. Once per week, schedule 1 hour of nothing. Not rest that improves you. Nothing. No podcast. No meditation app. No productive hobby. Sit in a room. Look out a window. Let the alarm fire. Let it rage, and do not answer it. Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz and spent his life studying what gives people the will to go on, wrote something that belongs here. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our freedom and our power to choose our response. The stimulus is the guilt. The space is the 2 minutes. The choice is whether you obey the alarm or let it pass through you. The guilt will not disappear. That is not the goal. The goal is that the guilt arrives and you recognize it as a visitor, not a commander. It knocks, you hear it, and for the first time, you do not open the door. What rest was always for. Here is the refrain that changes everything. Rest is not the reward for finishing. Rest is not what you earn after enough output. Rest is where you meet the version of yourself that has nothing to prove. You have spent years, maybe decades, believing that your value lives in what you produce. That belief kept you safe once. In a home where love was earned, production was the currency, and you became fluent in it. So fluent that you forgot there was ever another language. The other language is this. You are not what you do. You are what remains when you stop doing. And what remains is not nothing. What remains is the person everyone actually loves. Not the performer, not the provider, not the reliable one. The one underneath all of that. The one you have been so busy protecting that you forgot they were there. Sirhan said, he has a problem. He was right. But the problem is not that he works too much. The problem is that he cannot hear the alarm for what it is. He hears ambition. He hears discipline. He hears the voice that made him successful. And that voice is all of those things. It is also a child who learned that love stops when the work does. You do not have to dismantle your ambition to heal this. You do not have to become lazy. You do not have to stop caring about your work. You only have to learn one thing, that you are allowed to exist without producing, that the people who love you are not keeping score, that sitting down is not falling behind. It is arriving. Gabor Mate spent his career watching brilliant people destroy themselves with their own competence. His conclusion was not complicated. The child who had to earn love becomes the adult who cannot stop earning. The exit is not to earn harder. The exit is to let yourself be loved without earning it first. The next time you sit down and the guilt arrives, try something different. Do not get up. Do not reach for the phone. Do not find the task. Sit with it. Name it. Let it pass. And notice what is underneath the guilt after it quiets. What is underneath is not emptiness. It is you, the one who is always there, waiting for permission to stop performing. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not giving up. Rest is the bravest thing a person who is taught that love is earned will ever do. If you have been waiting for permission to stop, this is it. Not because you earned it, because you never had to. If this reached the part of you that keeps the alarm running, stay. Because next, we are going somewhere deeper, into the psychology of why the people who love you the most are the ones most capable of hurting you, and what that reveals about the architecture of trust.